Hey guys, Travis Fulton here. Cash out with the coaches. It's a new golf course, Palmetto Championship. It's Congaree Golf Club. And you know what? It doesn't matter. The Tommy Fleetwood love affair continues. We've got our picks head-to-head, top 20, and a winner from Europe. Lefty, 22 years of age. He's won 3 times over here. I think he's going to win this one. You want to know who it is? Let's go.
We are just 1 week away from the third major of 2021, and that means we are here just for you. Welcome into another episode of Cash Out with the Coaches. I'm the coach, Jonathan Coachman. He is one of the great coaches in all of America, Travis Fulton. And we got a lot to get into this week, Trav. Before we look forward, as always, we have to look back. And it was one of the most unique weeks in the history of the PGA Tour. We have to give props to Patrick Cantlay getting the job done, despite it all, in a playoff over Colin Morikawa. What did you make of Patrick Cantlay winning for the second time in 3 years?
Do we? Do we have to give props to your boy, Patrick Cantlay, who...
It's in the books. It's official. There's no asterisk next to it. It's real. 500 FedEx Cup points.
I was all for it when Morikawa, of course, who I picked last week to win, was right there with him. And if Morikawa wins, then I'm okay with it. But the fact that Colin didn't and Cantlay did, I'm not okay with it now. I'm not okay.
I actually bet real money on Sunday because I told myself, if I'm going to listen to Travis chirp, chirp, chirp in my ear for an hour on Tuesday, well, I'm at least going to make some money out of it. So not only did I not win that, but you didn't win it for the show. But if you won it for the show, I don't know if we could have completely bragged about it because the way it happened, the circumstances that it happened, is the fact that Jon Rahm had a 6-shot lead after Saturday, and then shockingly, I have 2 questions here. They shockingly told him at greenside, which I thought was bad, and then he had to withdraw, which wouldn't have been a big deal if he wouldn't have been the tournament leader by 6 shots. Because then, this is a golf betting show, Trav, because sports books all over the world had to decide, do we pay these bets or don't we? First, my question is the fact that they told him greenside and the fact that he had to withdraw from the tournament.
You know, I've been thinking about it. At first, I didn't like it at all to tell him right when he walked off the green. I was sitting having a drink with my wife, and I was looking up. I was like, man, something ain't right here. I was like, did Rahm call Bryson Brooksy or something? He's getting DQ'd right now, or he's getting kicked out, or what is going on? And, you know, I mean, just what a bizarre situation the whole thing was. I guess he had to tell him there. So, you know, the optics after the fact were not him walking up and high-fiving people. I don't know. It's just the whole thing. You know, the whole thing is so bizarre. Never seen anything like it, obviously. Feel terrible for Jon Rahm, because we've been talking here on the show, Coach. We've been talking like, look, this is a guy that's been stuck in neutral like all year. Can't get it going. Had the good final round Sunday at the Masters. But outside of that, just been kind of, you know, just treading water. Now, for him, he can tread water and finish in the top 25. But he finally got it going. You could see everything started to click. 6 birdies on the back 9, and then he walks off 18. They're like, hey, John, come here. I got to tell you something. I mean, what is just an incredibly bad break.
And Nick Faldo said it. He's like, this is the best golf that Jon Rahm has ever played. Not only did he have a great third round, but earlier he finished his second round with a hole-in-one to add to his lead. But I'll give him a lot of credit, and we're going to bring it up right now. He did tweet this out on Instagram the next day, and I thought this was very, very classy. And I also thought that what he said here, the statement, and I'll paraphrase, basically, it happens, I'm severely disappointed, but I'm going to watch today just like everybody else. And I thought because of this statement that after 1 or 2 holes, we didn't think about the fact that he wasn't in the lead of the golf tournament anymore. And I thought this statement did a lot for that.
Yeah, I mean, John's a class guy. I mean, I think John's a deep thinker. He had to been in shock, and then afterwards, and thinking about it, he's handled it the right way. I'm sure. I hope up there at Muirfield, they're creating that situation for where he can practice and stay sharp now that he's finally, playing well, and then can go over to Torrey Pines where he's played well and won the Farmers, and can keep it going. Because, outside of Phil winning the U.S. Open, I think the second biggest storyline would be Jon Rahm winning the U.S. Open and keeping the great play going. So what a bizarre situation. Here you got Cantlay and Morikawa, two, big names, world-class players going head-to-head, and Cantlay getting the win, his fourth win on the PGA Tour. And Cantlay was struggling, had 4 missed cuts, showed a little form the week before, comes out, plays very well. Clearly, Patrick Cantlay loves Muirfield Village, as he looked himself there. He's clutch too, Coach. You got to give it to him. He's the kind of guy that you want to put in the fire late. He looks comfortable in that situation, and his putter, I think, finally woke up for him. But he's got a lot of win equity when he gets close late on a Sunday. This is not going to be his last win.
Yeah, and he's been very open about the fact that Jack has been very open to spend time with him, specifically on how to play Muirfield Village better. But I'll give both guys a lot of credit. Colin Morikawa was fighting a swing like nobody else. And both guys, when you're coming home on a Sunday, what made it so exciting for me is the fact that neither guy bogeyed a hole on the back nine. They may not have been hitting it great, but they managed to get it in the hole and stay in the tournament and stay at the top, while Scheffler was missing putts and other guys were making bogeys and double bogeys. They didn't do that. And I thought that was golf at its highest level when it's not at its highest level, if that makes sense. But now let's talk about it from a money and points perspective, because I know Jon Rahm's not hurting for money. I get that, but it cost him over $1 million. Yep. It cost him 500 FedEx Cup points, which could end up costing him $15 million come early this fall. That's a lot of numbers that fell off the board because of this. And if he looks back, it may not be at losing a PGA Tour victory. It may be bigger than that he could lose a FedEx Cup because of this. It's possible.
It is possible. Those are all valid points. I mean, it's a bad break all the way around. You're right. I mean, $1 million kind of stings, no matter, I guess, how many millions you have. But it's just the fact that he just started playing well. You could see the light finally going. I guarantee in his head, he was like, finally, I've got my game. I'm used to the new equipment. Here we go. We're rolling off birdies. We're bringing Muirfield Village to his knees. There's only a couple guys probably that can do that the way that he was orchestrating that back nine. It looked like he was going to shoot 29 for crying out loud, on the back nine. So, and then to walk off feeling so good about your game, the best you felt all year long, and to get that news was surprising. The second biggest shock to me, though, Coach, was the way Colin Morikawa played on Sunday. His ball striking was as bad as I've ever seen it. I mean, it was bad. He could not get it together. And Cantlay, not only was he dealt a one ace from Rahm's situation, he was dealt pocket aces in the way Morikawa hit the ball on Sunday. You just don't see that with Colin. I was like, this dude's going to win a tournament with his putter on Sunday. He putted beautifully. Short game was great. He's got to feel good about that. But my God, the playoff hole, he's right in the middle. There's a little mud on it. He hits it. It's diving. And the announcers are like, wow, that was a mud ball. I was like, no, it wasn't. He hit it right on top of the head.
Yeah,
like he damn near bladed it.
Yeah, I saw you say that on Twitter. Like, it had nothing to do with that shot. So don't say that it did. He certainly was in position, because even on 18, Cantlay had already gone right first before he hit it. So he had the fairway out there. He had Cantlay in trouble. And then Cantlay ends up hitting a superb shot. But I also feel bad for his caddy, because the caddies aren't millionaires. And when you have a chance to win a golf tournament, you get, normally it's 4 to 5% when you're not in first. But a first place finish, that's 10%. That's over $100,000 to the caddy. Yeah. And then on top of that, to wrap this up, because this is a golf betting show, there were probably, I would say, 80% of the sports books paid out Rahm winning tickets. they paid out RAHM head-to-head tickets. I will tell you that one of the sports books that I use, Trav, I had Victor Hovland over John Rahm. Over John Rahm. He would have beat him by 16 shots, and they cashed my ticket. They paid my ticket.
Wow.
So there were some people that were very, very happy, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have a RAHM over speed ticket for one of our shows. But that just shows in the COVID era, anything is possible. We scream money management all the time. This is an extreme case, but this is exactly what we're talking about, Trav.
Hey, let's transition to some gambling here, because there was another situation with Brooks and Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know if you heard, but some people were calling Bryson Brooksy, and now and then of course Brooks comes afterwards, $50 to the people that got kicked out, and this whole thing's just taken off. And what are the odds and what are the names that we would put for this week on who Brooks is going to have a problem with this week? Do we say it's plus 125? Brooks is going to go after Terrell Hatton. There's
nobody on his level. There's nobody on his level to get upset about or to get upset with. I think he's going to get upset potentially if he doesn't play well, but there's nobody that he wouldn't look like an absolute bully if he went after this week. But it's always possible. I just think as much as I loved this last week, I'm starting not to like it now. And it's because of how Brooks is responding to it.
Yep.
I don't believe for a second when Bryson says, hey, I don't have an issue with guys yelling Brooksy. I mean, I had nothing to do with that, of having guys getting thrown out, because I believe there's 4 or 5 that got thrown out for doing that.
Yeah.
I don't believe it for a second, because if Bryson didn't say anything to anybody, then why would they feel the need to kick anybody out? Because if he wasn't complaining, his agent wasn't complaining, then why are they kicking anybody out? I don't believe it for a second. I think he's trying to look good to the media, but I absolutely think it bothered him. And I think now getting in his head. But now Brooks with the whole going to give 50. This is now getting to a point that it's not fun for me anymore. Because now it's not fun anymore.
No, it's not. I mean, you can't then go afterwards and start to, I don't want to say incentivize, but reward people for being kicked out. We're going to send you a case of beer. Come on. I mean, that's a little immature. It's time to, you can have some needling and back and forth, but now you're going to reward people and a sponsor gets involved. I think it's a bad look. That to me was not the right thing to do.
And what's going to happen at the U.S. Open? You know what's going to happen at the U.S. Open. Yeah. Whether they play together or not, people are going to start yelling that. And it could be at a very, very important time of the tournament. It's just a bad look. Stop doing it. And the needling between the two, that's fine. That was actually fun.
Yeah.
It's like telling a joke 5 times. It's not funny the 5th time. So let's move on and either hash it out or stop with the pettiness. That's what I say.
I think it's affecting Bryson. I really do. I think his driver hasn't really, slowed down any. He's still been dominant there, but 55th at the Byron, 38th at the PGA, 18th at Memorial. I mean, his game hasn't been that clean. His approach game, I've been kind of barking at, hasn't been good. The short game, the touch hasn't been there. The putter's been chill. So I think it is affecting him. He's going to tell you it's not. But yeah, Brooks has crossed the line. It's getting ugly. And I think when they are paired together, US Open, wherever, it's going to get worse. Unfortunately, I think before it gets better.
I think there was way more to this than what we even thought before all this happened. I think they really legit despise each other.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's leave it right there. Let's spin it forward now to this week. Now, this is a one-off because of the issues with COVID up in Canada, and this is supposed to be the week for the RBC Canadian Open, but instead, it's going to be the Palmetto Championship at Congaree for the first time on the PGA Tour. Now, this is the 3rd event this season in the state of North Carolina. It's a par 71 over 7,600 yards. And Trav, there are some man-sized par 4s, 3 on the front 9, over 500 yards, 2 on the back 9 between 465 and 500. And Trav, all the par 5s are north of 580.
Yeah. Well, it's a big course on paper, 76 and a half, par 71. It's a Fazio design, but I think it's going to be very fast and firm. I think this is going to be the fastest and the firmest golf course that you'll see on the PGA Tour this year. Of course, in America, we play the ball up in the air. The ball is going to come down and it's going to not going to roll out very much, right? You don't have to manage the ball on the ground as much. I think you're going to see more of that this week. I think you're going to see more of that next week at Torrey as well. That's the way the USGA likes to get it. So depending upon how much water, I do think there's a little bit of rain, perhaps, in the forecast. But it's going to be fast. It's going to be firm. I think there's some dog legs that they've got some options to shorten the hole a little bit. Of course, risk reward. There's no rough, though. So I'd be surprised if it really does play that long. It does kind of feel a bit Euro style. We'll see how much wind we get. I think we're going to get a little less wind here than perhaps they did at Kiawah. But we are in South Carolina again. This is the third time we've had a tournament there. The Corn Ferry Tour is right down the road, for crying out loud. Why don't we just move professional golf to South Carolina, and just play there the rest of the year? But it's let's face it, it's not a great field, right? We've got DJ, we've got Brooks, but we've got some interesting young names playing as a professional for the first time. John Puck was number one as far as collegiate golf. Davis Thompson, another Georgia product, was the number one amateur at one point. And there's another guy that you're going to hear me talking about later. His name is GARRICK. He's coming over from Europe. You like that Euro style golf? This kid can play. He's from South Africa. He is, I think, 53rd in the world. This is his first tournament on the PGA Tour. Really excited to watch him. So there's some interesting names. Vincent Whaley, guys that you maybe wouldn't normally think about, maybe if a lot of these big names were there. So perhaps we get a unique winner like that, a young gun that comes out for the first time as a pro and wins. Why not?
It's certainly a week that a player off the beaten path has to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure on their shoulders because they don't all dictate their schedule. And this is a course that a lot of people are getting into. To your point, there are 2 or 3 other top collegiate players that are making their debuts this week as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they how they do in a format with DJ and Brooks there, but not with a ton of big players. I think it's a perfect sweet spot for that. But understand, as we look at who we're going to bet on this week, I think you did a great job of kind of outlining and saying what kind of a player could play well here. I would be very, very careful because I feel kind of the same way I did at concession, that not knowing what to expect, it's very, very hard to give out matchups and top 20s.
Yeah.
I'd be very careful on your bet size this week and watching how things play out and put more emphasis on round by round betting than I would on the entire tournament draft.
Yeah, that's a tough one to predict, right? I don't think we can really pin that down, the type of player here. I think the more research I do and the more I'm talking with people, there's no rough. How much can you cut off some of these dog legs and whatnot? Is it like a Arnold Palmer type of tournament where you can see some of the bigger hitters go up top and cut off 30 or 40 yards, but have to fit it into the fairway? Maybe a little bit of that, but there's no rough. So, perhaps obviously a lean to length. There always is. We know the approach game has value everywhere. It really does feel like, though, Coach, that there's some very difficult short game shots here, though, too. It does feel like short game, which we can devalue in a lot of tournaments. Here, I feel like you're going to need that for sure. And we're going to have some fast greens, fast Bermuda greens. So we'll see how those splits. I always like looking at who does well in Bermuda, who doesn't. So those are some things we're looking at, but it just feels like we've got a lot to learn, don't we, in the kind of player here at this course?
No doubt about it. Make sure you follow Travis on social media. He's always very active during the tournaments. Our partners at Sports Pub Media, very active during tournaments. So you can also learn something as the tournament's going along if something happens. So very important to follow both of them and those accounts. All right, let's get into our picks for the week. And here is how we do it. We take a fictional $100. We take 2 head-to-head matchups, a top 20 play, a tournament winner, and something that could be any play on the board. It is a wild card play. And I will preface this again. A lot of this is based off of our expertise because there is no numbers to base it off of. This is a one-off. There's never been a PGA tournament here before. So take that with a grain of salt. With that said, Travis Fulton, give me your first head-to-head.
Well, let me draw a name out of the hat and see who we have. Hey, Brooks. Here comes the alpha. DJ minus 125 over your boy KOEPKA. We talked about it. We're not going to skin it anymore with KOEPKA. But it's time for DJ to show up in 2021 and start playing some golf. This has not been a good calendar year for him, and we're a long ways removed from when he was dominating at the end of last year. I've been looking at his stuff, talking to some people, my sources, and I think we're ready now to start seeing DJ start to turn the corner. Now, I know Brooks second at the PGA, hit the ball very well. I know what we're capable of, Brooks, but Dustin, it's time to start it up here a little bit. And I think Vegas is agreeing with that. I always worry with DJ. I worry when the putter goes chilly and then he starts to search, right? And we saw a stretch of that. There was probably 3 or 4 tournaments there. He lost 10 strokes gained putting at WGC Mexico. I mean, you have to try to lose 10 strokes putting. I mean, that number is off the chart. Now, the last few weeks, you're starting to see the putter start to trend here and come back around. The driving's been fine. I think he's worked out the driver. Now it's just, let's just get the approach game dialed back in. I worry not as much about that with Dustin because I think that can flip. He's had a couple weeks to work some things out. I feel like DJ's back. US Open's next week. We know how he plays there. Let's go, DJ. Take it to your boy, please. For me, -125 over Koepka.
People ask me all the time, Coach, do you guys compare your picks before you actually do the show? Or does it just come out like that? And I say 100% we do not compare picks before the show. My first head-to-head looks a little something like this. I'm taking Cody. It's Brooks Koepka over DJ. Brooks Koepka over DJ. You just ruined my entire reveal. The entire reveal. This is a point where I'm going to stop. We're still rolling because this is going to be in the show. And I cut a promo on our producer, Cody Merrow, who never makes a mistake.
Hey.
Big reveal. We talk about it before the show. And I say, right when I throw my finger in the air, you throw it up. We had to time it perfectly.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Take two. My man, Brooks Koepka. He's a two-time U.S. Open champion. He has his game revved up for the major championship. This has no sizzle behind it now. This has nothing. I'm going to continue on, though, because that's what pros do. So, Brooks, you just talked about it. 2 weeks ago, second place finished the PGA. I know he didn't play well on Sunday, but I'm betting on Brooks to play well, and I'm betting on DJ to continue his current trend. This screams, Trav, a one-on-one, real money. Our normal bet size is $100.
Okay.
Between me and you. I'm
straight
challenging you. I'll take Brooks. You take DJ. Straight up.
Yes. Done. Done.
Yeah, that's for you, Cody.
It doesn't matter what book you go to. Koepka getting no respect over DJ because they know the ceiling. It's coming. DJ's coming. Watch out.
All right, our second head-to-head matchup. Trav, what do you got?
I don't know. I've lost my train. Oh, here it is. Okay, Alex Noren. How do we get here already? -114.
Off the track, baby. Off the track.
Over Ian Poulter. DraftKings Sportsbook. I went back and forth. I'll be honest on these two. There wasn't a lot that I liked here. I spent a lot of time. I was like, all right, I think DJ's coming. I feel good with that. But this one, Poulter's played pretty good this year. 3rd at the Schwab, 30th at the PGA. He's putted the lights out. I mean, his putter has been off the chart. But you look at Noren quietly, he's put together a nice season as well. He was 13th at Memorial last week. He's had, 3 other top 25s in the last 5 weeks. He's played well. And I think when you look at Noren, what I see with the trends this year is it's every part of his game is moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that very often. Sometimes you'll see like in this game, this is going this way, this is leveled out. I'm talking all strokes gain categories going in the right direction. That's the kind of research I do, Coach. I don't look just.
Yeah, you dig deep. Get into your model. I dig deep into my model.
I like to look, over a.
Yeah, we know you do.
Alex Noren. Let's compare all the clubs in their bag here. Who do we give the edge to? Let's start with the putter. Pretty close. right? I would say it's a split. Poulter, Noren. Poulter's putting well. Noren's putting well, but I think it's a split. Around the green, I think it's a split. I think they're both about the same as far as strokes gained, short game. Approach, I would give the slight edge to Noren. Slight edge to Noren. Driving, no question, Alex Noren's a better driver. So I think Poulter is playing some pretty good golf. I think Noren's playing better, and I think he is the better player. So give me Noren over Poulter, minus 114. Your European flavor, you knew we were going to go there. There it is.
I can't hate it. I can't hate it because I think that's going to be where the field kind of trends towards is the European player. I just thought the longer you talked that you were going to flip to Ian Poulter because you're trying to convince yourself that this was the play that you wanted to make. I know. It is so hard.
Let me guess. You picked Poulter over Noren.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did. But I do have a theme. My second head-to-head, I hope this is great. Yes, Tommy Fleetwood over Harris English. That's why I couldn't have Brooks over Tommy. That would have been dumb. So Fleetwood, I'm only laying 20 cents. Harris English, I think, still getting a lot of respect because of what he did back in January. But let's be honest. He hasn't had really any good finishes. He's had a couple that are in that top 25 to 30 range. But he has not been at all the Harris English of Hawaii. And so give me Fleetwood just because I feel like I've got to pick somebody from the European Tour or who plays a lot on the European Tour and has an advantage this week. I think Tommy Fleetwood's as good as anybody. But again, a lot of this is just spitballing, but I like his game on a track like this.
People love Fleetwood, man. I'll tell you, in the gambling community, they love them some Fleetwood. I have nothing against him. I think Tommy's is an awesome dude. He's an incredible interview. He's fun to listen to. And there's like this perception like he's a great ball striker. He's got a nice swing, but his stats are really not that good. His short game's been good, but his ball striking's been...
That's why you can't play him in a prop. You can't put him in a top 20 because that directly affects how he hits. I just don't think some of my head-to-heads, and I know you're the same way, and to educate the people at home, it's not so much about how the guy we're playing is going to finish. Sometimes it's about the guy he's playing and how they're going to finish. So I don't think Fleetwood's going to challenge.
I think they both missed the cut.
Yeah, but I think he misses the cut less. And again, like we talked about at the top of the show, there weren't that many good head-to-head matches this week. There wasn't. There was nothing to choose from. I looked at 4 different books and just could not find anything I liked. And I won't just give out a play just to give out a play. But these are the only 2 I found that I remotely liked. So
yeah, all right.
All right, let's move on to our top 20 play for the week. Trav, who do you got?
Well, top 20. I'm going to go with Patton KIZZIRE, Auburn Tiger, plus 188. I was happy with that. $15 on him. Like Noren, I think KIZZIRE has put together some good tournaments as well. And, I kind of put together my basic model and stats, curriculum, however you want to look at it. And KIZZIRE last 24 rounds, he matches out pretty good. Where'd he go? Where'd my guy go? Here, stand by here. Hold on a second. Patton. That's who I picked, right? Yep, there he is. So you look at Guyer, right? Patton, when you really look at him, he has been giving himself a lot of opportunities. In fact, in this field, last 24 rounds, he's given himself the most legitimate opportunities at birdie. And I would make the argument he's the best putter in this field. His Bermuda splits are terrific. His approach game has been terrific. He gets a little clunky off the tee, which I find myself pushing that down a little bit this week. And his short game can be a little sporadic, but he does have 2 top 3 finishes, 2 of the last 3 weeks. He's kind of a streaky player. So I think we're kind of getting him in a good spot right now. Grew up in the South. We're in South Carolina again. It kind of feels like he's been there, done that, even though it's a new course. I'll roll the Patton KIZZIRE train right now for another top 20, which would be his 3rd in the last 4 weeks.
Are you sure?
No, I'm completely positive.
You're positive.
I have a new computer and it did something weird, so I got it back up again.
Yeah. Any weirder than a Patton KIZZIRE top 20 play this week? Boom. No, I actually don't mind this. I take a lot of solace. I'm trying to make these picks as entertaining as possible. You have nobody. Pat KIZZIRE had the shot of the tournament at the Colonial, where he on 17, where on Saturday he went under a tree off the. It was like a miniature golf type of shot. He played really well, and that course, I think we can take that to this week if what we get from you is true, where it's going to be hard, it's going to be running out, so you have to place the ball a lot. KIZZIRE did a great job of that at Colonial a couple of weeks ago, so I think that's a good fit for this course as well.
Hey, look, I tend to default to approach and putting. That's kind of where I'll go. Like, okay, give me approach, give me putting, and KIZZIRE fits that mold. He's playing pretty good golf, so why not?
And you get almost plus 200, which there's very few guys that you get that on. So
yeah,
I like the number too. My top 20, kind of the same type of thing. He's kind of been showing up the last couple of months.
Oh, there you go. Big name. That's it. Now go bigger name. Yep.
Every week he has one bad round, and that's costing him a shot at winning. But he's had several rounds in the mid-60s. He's hitting the ball great, and I'm getting plus 250. So I like that a lot just for a top 20 when there aren't a ton of big names. I think there's legitimately, Trev, I'm not exaggerating, 100 players this week that could finish in the top 20. 100.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is going to be rolling the dice. So be very careful on how much you're betting on all of these props. Be careful.
Scott Stallings, a PATTON KIZZIRE, they are kind of the second tier this week, right? Under your Hattons and Fitzpatricks, who've moved up to the top tier with DJ and Brooks, which of course are always up there. So guys that you're looking at, you're like, damn, really? Like, yeah, well, yeah. And this week, yeah, that's right. That's where they are. And
you really have to, if you go down to matchups that are below that aren't normally guys you would bet on, be very careful. Look up the numbers. Don't just blindly bet. All right. Now, we could have a really good value on a winner this week if the two big dogs don't get it done. Give me a guy that you're looking at and you're like, hey, I looked at this number and I looked at his talent and I matched it up. And what'd you come up with this week, Trav?
Well, I'll get up in the morning and I'll watch the European Tour, have a cup of coffee. And there's this Garrett HIGGO kid from South Africa, 22 years age, lefty. Wears these glasses, like it looks like a mosquito. And he's long, iron game's good, he can putt, and he just looks like he's just in his own world, right? He's won 3 times on the European Tour. 3. Okay. He's never played a PGA Tour event. I introduced you to him at the US Open, made the cut, finished 64th. And he really didn't hit the ball that well like he usually does. I'm sure he was nervous, but he made the cut. So here he comes over here. He's playing the US Open, first time on the PGA Tour. The kid is really, really good. I talked to Eddie Pepperell on the Stripe Show podcast, and I asked him, Eddie, how good is Garrick? And he says, I've played with him a few times. He's really, really good. He's special. He's an excellent player. He's won 3 times. He's 22 years old on the European Tour. Now, I know that's not the PGA Tour. I get it. But you watch him, he's got that special quality to him. And he's got that modern game where he can really bust it. His iron game's sharp. And he looks like a really good putter, coach. Like he looks like a really top-notch putter. So why not? Right? Why not?
This is the week to do it.
It's a European feel. It's a weak field. Garrick HIGGO comes over, just played in the PGA, a little bit of confidence, got the US Open next week. Go free will it, buddy. Get yourself another W.
A little sprinkle for Garrick HIGGO. I'm definitely going to put a little bit on him. I'm going to go with a guy that's been hitting the ball well, nearly won a few weeks ago. I'm going to go with Keith Mitchell. And his number is kind of in the sweet spot this week, plus 4,000. So at least you'll feel it if you win, but it's not so low that there's no value there. So plus 4,000. Keith Mitchell is a really, really good iron player. And he's getting closer and closer. And I believe now, the more that he is in contention and gets to Sunday and figures out the pressure and how that feels to hit those shots, we're going to see him perform on Sundays a little bit better and a little bit better. This is a perfect week for him not to be intimidated come Sunday. I'll take Keith Mitchell plus 4,000.
Played good at the Schwab. I wouldn't be surprised if he's played here before either, because I know Lucas Glover has done some stuff with this group, Congaree. And then there's one other, Kevin KIZZIRE, Georgia kid. Mitchell's a Georgia guy. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitchell's been there. Yeah, I like that play. I think he'll definitely be on my card as well. I think Mitchell, this could be a good spot for him.
I think both guys you can get DraftKings. That'd be good to have both Keith Mitchell and Higgo, because Higgo's not going to be that expensive. I haven't looked yet, but I don't think obviously he's going to be that expensive to get. So that might be a good fit guy to get. All right, time for our wild card. It could be anything on the board. What do you like this week, Trav?
Higgo's 54th in the world. We're going to go all the way up to 333rd in the world. This kid's coming. His name is Vincent WHALEY. Works with Scott Hamilton.
Okay.
Vincent, also a Georgia Tech guy. So he's been in the area. I like this WHALEY kid. It's his second year on tour. I think he's got staying power. I think he's really starting to come on. The approach game has really started to look more on point. His putting looks good. I think he's a good driver. I think he's a better than average driver of the ball. It looks like his short game can get a little bit erratic at times, but all in all, pretty complete player here. And he makes a ton of cuts. He hasn't missed a cut since February 7th at Waste Management. I mean, I'm talking a run of top 30s here for the young players. So he's clearly getting more comfortable. Now the field is not as strong. We're in the part of the country that he's played most of his golf. Let's just keep this train going. I like this. When I see a positive 5.4 approach in your last tournament with a positive 2.2 putting, I get excited for that. I get excited.
This is a perfect spot for a guy like
it
this.
Is.
He's very, very quiet, under the radar type of guy. He's people ask me all the time, Coach, how do you look at a player and get value before Vegas figures out who they are? This would be the poster child for that. Vegas doesn't know who he is, and they don't know how good he is. They don't know that he's been showing up, and that's where you get the value before he does start to show up, and it just drops off a cliff, and you can't get any value with him. So right now, plus 250, incredible value on Vincent WHALEY.
The last two picks, Higgo and WHALEY, is exactly my thought. Let's get some value. This is a great spot here. We got a big upside here, big ceiling for both of them. I'll probably sprinkle some on WHALEY to win too.
Well, it wouldn't be bad. All right, my wild card, I'm going right back to it. I'm going back to Tommy Fleetwood, top 10, and I'm getting it plus 225. I've learned my lesson. I don't want to take a flyer on a top 10. I want to take a flyer on a guy that I know when it comes to Sunday is not going to go backwards. That I know when I come to Sunday is going to be able to stare the other guy in the eye and walk down that aisle and understand the value that he brings. So I'm talking about Tommy Fleetwood. And if you will, who are you calling?
Let me know when you're done, because I can't listen. I can't listen to this Fleetwood.
The sports book and said, hey, has Coach showed up yet to cash those tickets? That's who you're talking to. I'm taking Tommy Fleetwood plus 225.
The love affair with Tommy Fleetwood is real, folks. It is real.
It's the first time I picked him all year. Maybe last year I picked him just a little bit. I do have one question before we get out of here.
All right.
Do you think, because I'm sure I put more emphasis on this than you do, there will be any fatigue? I don't know how many players it is, but there was a U.S. Open qualifier Monday after the Memorial, and then players had to go and play this week, some, and then some are getting ready for the U.S. Open next week. Do you think all of the scheduling and also the fact that you're going East Coast to West Coast for the U.S. Open, I thought they would have tried to find a course closer to San Diego, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. Your thoughts? Yeah,
well, I think they had to scramble probably a little bit with the Canadian Open, because this was supposed to be up there again. And in Congaree, you get the feeling there's no shortage of money coming out of this club. Billionaires everywhere. So it fit the bill. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe a little. I think maybe for some there could be a little bit of fatigue, but overall, I think that's a very small percent. This is what these guys do. This is what they do. They travel around, they play golf, and sure, they can get a little bit tired here and there. But I would put that impact way down the list.
Why do you think? Because the U.S. Open is widely known as, and we're going to have a full U.S. Open preview in your feed later this week, so turn on those notifications, please. How much do you think, because the U.S. Open is always the hardest tournament to win mentally, physically, the whole 9 yards, we know why the field this week is not that good. But for a guy like Dustin and Brooks to play instead of Skip, why do you think they're playing this week? And so many other of the top names said absolutely not.
We've talked about this before. I think some guys just like playing into it. Some don't. I think it's a preference thing. I don't think they're going to get they're certainly not going to get the rough this week, it appears, right? So they're not going to get those kinds of shots. But, I do think the U.S. Open the ball's going to be bouncing. They're going to have to manage the ball bouncing on the ground a little bit. They're going to bake it out as much as they can. So I do think if the weather cooperates, you'll get that ball on the ground a little more than we normally would see on the PGA Tour, which I love, by the way. I love watching the ball bounce. As goofy as that sounds. I don't like it comes in, hits the fairway, hits the green. Like, yeah, give me a dose of that. But I like to see the ball hit. I like to see the fairway shrink. And I like to see shots into green where you have to manage the trajectory and the spin. You got to clip it to spin. You got to clip it really, really cleanly to get rewarded. So they're going to get all that next week. And they probably will get a little bit of it this week. But I think historically, DJ does play into major championships. I think Brooks can be a little bit of a mixed bag. Who knows with Brooks right now? What's motivating him and where his head's at and this and that. But, all in all, I think it just depends on the person, and whether do I want to play the week before or would I rather rest and prepare? I think most of the big names would rather rest and be out in San Diego right now preparing.
Yeah, it's only about an hour from where I'm sitting right now.
Okay.
The weather is absolutely picture perfect today. And it looks that way for the next week to 10 days, which will be phenomenal.
It'll be awesome.
A quick reminder, as I just said, we'll be doing a U.S. Open mega preview in your feed Thursday and or Friday. Of course, follow us on social media at Travis Fulton, at The Coach Rules, and our incredible partners at Sports Pub Media on YouTube. Turn on the subscription button, the notification button, all that kind of stuff. Instagram and Twitter. Let's grow this community. So many of you reached out to tell us how much you like the show and how much you like the picks too.
Promise me one thing, that you will not bring up Tommy Fleetwood in the preview show.
You have my word that I will not say the name Tommy Fleetwood in the preview show.
Hey, no guarantees. You won't hear GARRICK HIGGO though. No guarantee.
All right, that's going to do it for us. For Samantha and Cody and everybody at Sports Pub Media, he is Travis Fulton. I am the coach. Remember, if you're going to cash out every single week, why not cash out with the coaches? Good luck.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's good? This is the coach. You may know me from PGA Tour Live, the Golf Channel, or even ESPN. I wanted to interrupt this YouTube video real quick to tell you how to get the best and most entertaining golf betting content every single week, and it's all for free. It's called Cash Out with the Coaches. I've teamed up with legendary golf instructor Travis Fulton, and he's also a PGA Tour insider, to bring you the unscripted, unfiltered PGA Tour betting talk and analysis. All you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's new channel, and you'll get access to our Cash Out with the Coaches show before every single PGA Tour event. You can also play along with the coaches, too. We don't hold anything back on this free show. And all you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's channel with the button on the video, and you'll have access to every single show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Can't wait to see you on the channel.